Hey everyone, my name is Sophia Arredondo, and I'm a visual storyteller. I use portraits and characters to portray conflicting motives of childhood, adulthood, and morality. These narratives usually present themselves in ironic and humorous ways. I've always felt like an outlier in my classes. My painting classes drained me because they always focused on realism, and I always wanted to illustrate, so all of my early work felt really confusing. I thought I had to make my work look real to be successful. I enjoy rendering figures, so I focused all my energy on portraits to keep me going. My mindset changed when I took my first printmaking class. I started to experiment without fear, and I felt that my natural impulses as an artist were celebrated. Realism never crossed my mind, and I was able to experiment with styles and mediums I had never used before. I came to realize that I enjoyed creating flat art, which was a huge discovery for me. Printmaking marries traditional practices with technology, which is what I love about it. I had always felt more comfortable creating digital paintings and illustrations, so it felt amazing to see my digital work come to life through a screen print. While I was enjoying this new process, I felt that my work lacked meaning. I was creating comics and portraits purely through instinct, and I didn't think much about the reasoning. However, I later reflected on those works and came to realize that they were very personal to me. I was unconsciously portraying suppressed emotions in my work. I find it hard to express my thoughts and feelings verbally, so art is the way I speak. As an artist, I speak through figures. I can paint a portrait or draw a character and express myself through them. I was finally able to make sense of my art practice, but it wasn't long before I was hit with more doubt. The COVID-19 pandemic came out of nowhere and knocked me to the ground. One of my earliest pieces in the BFA program centered around the pandemic and how it affected my mental state. Great Job was the first time I used illustration to convey a very conscious message. It was also the first time I ever made a serious self-portrait. I wanted to convey chaos masked in happiness, a chaos that had to stay happy in order to survive. This piece is a reflection of how I was feeling at the time, drained and crazy. Like most people, I became extremely isolated during the pandemic. I hardly left my room, let alone my house, so I had a lot of time to think. I began to reflect on my life and what the future holds for me. I knew that the real world was ahead of me, and my way of life would be changing soon. Scrambled was inspired by my denial. The idea of growing up and becoming more of an adult was slowly becoming more and more real. I wanted to create a piece that reflected adulthood through a child's eye. I laser cut some wood and created a sliding puzzle. There are two portraits in this piece. One is a painting of my ID, and the other is what young Sophie thinks she looks like. Thinking about my childhood helped ease the emotional turbulence I was experiencing from the pandemic. Nostalgia and comfort were themes I began to explore as I progressed further into the program. Strike a Pose is a diptych inspired by Japanese photo booths. By this point in time, I hadn't hung out with anyone outside my family, so I was starting to miss my friends. Because I couldn't hang out with them, I decided to go on a play date with my stuffed bear, Korilakuma. I took a bunch of photos with my bear and rendered the ones that looked the most like photo booth pictures. I intended for the piece to be a double portrait as well, similar to Scrambled. I resonate with Korilakuma's character because she's childish and devious. If I were a stuffed animal, I would definitely be her. While I managed to create some meaningful work over the semester, I knew I wasn't being completely honest with myself. I'm a naturally goofy gal, and I like to joke around, so making serious art about serious topics was starting to take a toll on me. This is where I had a turning point in the BFA program. I realized that humor is very important to me because it's a way for me to connect to my audience. I wanted to create work that others could relate to, and I enjoy the thought of entertaining others. Food for Thought was created with the intention of relating to others who suffer from anxiety in a funny and aggressive way. Ironically enough, This piece was birthed from the anxiety I was feeling surrounding the work I had created up until this point. There's a whole story behind this piece. I imagined my brain being a country where everyone was afraid of anxiety. So, I painted myself as a rebellious citizen who wants to assassinate the evil leader, aka my anxiety. My army consists of hundreds of Korilakuma soldiers who are willing to risk their lives for the cause. These posters would be hung up around the city as a way to spread the message. I wanted to focus entirely on digital painting softwares like Photoshop to make my work, but I never had the courage to commit entirely. This piece became that for me, and I started to listen to my heart instead of others' expectations. I had a chance to create some work over winter break, which really helped me reset my mental state. I was determined to create something that blended storytelling with humor. I wanted to be more mindful of the narratives in my work and how I could use them to talk about my feelings. I was tired of feeling defeated, so I created a work that centered around protection. I used angels and religion as a focal point for the series. I created a world where you can hire angels to protect you from your demons. I experimented with other mediums as a way to bring the narrative to life. Divine Protection is a flyer that is meant to be hung around in real life. This was a way to advertise the service of these angels. I also created business cards that the angels would use to advertise themselves. The idea is that any normal person can be an angel. They just have to get hired through this business to be a licensed protector. Once you were hired as an angel, a smaller angel would come by to your house to drop off your set of cards. This was how you knew you passed the interview. Part of this series involves showing what the angels look like and what their work consists of. Beginner's Luck showcases what an ordinary day looks like for the company. Everyone in the business starts off as an on-call angel, and when you're called, you gotta show up, no matter what you were doing prior to the call. All angels wear white, but that's the only rule to the dress code. What you wear doesn't matter, because personality and independence are still important. Wings are also part of the dress code, and they vary from person to person. Everyone starts off with a small pair until they've earned enough credibility to become a guardian angel. Guardian angels work alone, and their wings get bigger. They are assigned tougher tasks since they are more experienced. Mi Dulce Compañía was inspired by childhood and feeling helpless when things get tough. The title of the piece is a line from a prayer my mom used to recite to my siblings and I in Spanish when we were kids. The prayer is a conversation between you and your guardian angel. You're praying that they stay by your side at all times, from dusk till dawn. I enjoy working with wood, so I felt it was only natural to make a wooden piece of my angels. Angel Choir was inspired by religious ornaments that are usually hung in a house. I made a conscious effort to modernize the angels through the series, and that idea was my main focus for this piece. I designed the angels to have colorful hair and play instruments that most people wouldn't think about mixing together. I feel that the angels represent my art practice, taking traditional approaches and combining them with technology to create a unique voice. My journey as an artist wouldn't have been the same without the BFA program. I'm grateful to have been part of a dedicated and talented group of colleagues during my journey. If you'd like to see more of my work, you can follow me on Instagram at SophiaRRE. If you'd like to reach out, you can email me at sophiarre@gmail.com. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this talk.